Good morning. The weather has taken a surprise turn. I wasn't expecting it to rain this week, but here it is. I think it's on the way, which kind of throws a spanner in the works for my plans for today, but I'm hoping to sneak in land tour part 2 before the heavens open up and it rains on us. Hi, Mikey. You gonna join me on the tour today? Are you gonna join me on a little walk around the land? Oh, and then here's your shadow. Larry looks like he's gonna come along as well. All right, guys, let's go take a quick walk around the top 2 terraces and share my plans. So let's start where we left off in land tour 1, which if you haven't seen that, check up here where I go over the plans for the bottom 2 terraces. We'll start in the garden entrance and work our way over towards the pool and eventually up to the top terrace. And these 2 little dudes do not seem to be getting along this morning. See, who's bullying who? I can't really figure it out. You guys seem to have a very strange frenemy relationship. Oh no, and it started raining, so I can't cuddle you anymore. Let's get a move on. So, I'm hoping to have a lovely entranceway here, which I talked about in the last video. And the garden is a mess. I'm gonna deal with this very, very soon. These raindrops are getting bigger and harder, so I don't know about this. Maybe I will reconvene later on. I've seen some lightning. The skies are looking angry. I'm getting wet. And I don't like getting wet. Okay, so land tour part 2 is coming to a close for the moment. We will reconvene later on when it's not chucking it down with rain, because it's wet, it's miserable, and I don't like it. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon, the sun is out, the temperature is perfect, it's gorgeous, and there's been a massive transformation in the garden, which I'll show you in a future video. I had the work day today with the volunteers and the students from Keela Permaculture Farm. Of course they came on the one day where it chucked it down with rain, but we got a bunch of stuff done and I'll share that with you very soon. For now, we're gonna continue on the land tour, and I'm gonna focus on this terrace behind me, the little mini terrace, and then the top terrace. And I feel like this is where I have most of the most exciting things happening on my land. And I'm also very open to ideas, so if you see something that I'm talking about and you have inspiration about something that I can do or a different way to do things, do let me know in the comments. I'm always very open to hearing ideas from people. So let's take in this beautiful evening, this dry weather, and continue on the walk up the terraces. Where should I start? I have a lot to say about this water tank area, so let's just take a stroll over this way and focus a bit more on this side. Currently I have a little garden bed here, very much neglected. It has raspberries. I have no idea how these are still alive because I gave them no water at all over the summer. And I've got an asparagus that's also looking pretty hardy despite total and utter neglect. I am going to eventually remove this garden bed and bring this terrace out a bit more. I want it to come around the olive tree, and I want to have some sitting space out here. Maybe I have a little outdoor fire built into some sort of a stone patio. I'd like to have nice stone walls coming out to about that height into the garden, and on top of that I'll have flat stone pavers, and it'll all just look nice and stony and hopefully inviting. I'm not exactly sure what I want to put up here. I feel like this is going to be my hangout terrace, and so I'd love to have a barbecue. I'd love to have plenty of spaces for seats and tables. And perhaps I would also, further down that way at the very end, I might also put a long drop compost toilet, maybe covered by some foliage, maybe you enter it from the other side. I'm not really sure, but I like the idea of having a long drop, and I like the idea of having it fairly accessible from the hangout space. Obviously, you don't want to be too close to the poo when you're hanging out, so maybe that's not an appropriate spot, but we'll see how things shake out, because if I end up with a deck over this, which I plan on, that's what my dad's going to be working on, then a lot of the hanging out is going to just be more over on this side and less on that side. So I feel like I can get away with it, and it's always nice not to have to walk too far when you need to go to the loo, but obviously you don't want it too close either. And so over here is my water tank construction. I still haven't filled up the water tank. I still haven't tested the pipes out. But what I'd like to do is have a path that comes from the doorway of the garden, probably up a step or two. This will be accessible through some kind of a lift up step, and then you'll be on the level of the deck, and it'll be possible to walk straight across that into the stony area, and that'll be a massive improvement, because as it is right now, there's a lot of chaos going on here, and this is the logical spot you want to walk. And so I think it'll be really good if you can actually walk this way without all of the danger and calamity. And so the splash pool is not looking so amazing at the moment. The water's pretty gross, and it's filled with little bits, but it is clean underneath there, and that's a definite improvement to what it was before. I will build some kind of a cover that goes over this, possibly some kind of a wooden framed, super sturdy thing. I just haven't got around to it yet. So a lot of the olive debris falls into the pool, and it starts to look all murky. And when the sun shines on the pool, it gets more algae in it as well. So keeping it covered will be a pretty good idea. Thoughts? He has no thoughts on this matter. I'm also going to point the stones in between the stones. I've done some of them. I think it looks really cool. But the part over here, come on, Mikey, is where the creatures will live. I don't want to point everything. There's a lot of wildlife in here, a lot of lizards, newts, salamanders, all kinds of cool things. So I'm probably going to keep all of this space under here unpointed and give them a place to hide from the cats, because the cats really have a taste for lizard, unfortunately. This part of my land has been a work in progress for a really, really long time. It was a super leaky, horrible tank. There was just holes into the ground, just straight into the dirt, without any concrete at all on the bottom of the pool, or on the bottom of the water tank. So it barely held water, and I just slowly, over many, many months and years, repaired the tank little by little and built the splash pool as well. So this is my favorite part of the land. I love this area, and it's going to be really, really nice to have a deck in here. I'm going to eventually build a pergola that's going to come across to offer the option for shade. So maybe I don't have it shaded year-round, but perhaps I have some kind of, not tarps, but canvas stuff that can go on and off, open and close as needed. And I'd love to have lots of little nice lights on the wall, and also fairy lights and things above on the pergola as well. Possibly have something growing up there too, and I think it can be a really, really nice space down here, especially if I have a barbecue and a hangout area over here. So I really want to have my hangout space down on this terrace, because the lemon tree is beautiful, but it also offers a lot of shade, as does the olive tree over there. And the top terrace, though it's right next to my house, it's not a lot of shade up there. There's a fig tree, but you'd have to sit way in behind it in order to get the shade. And I sort of want that area as kind of a utility room, workshop sort of place right beside the house. And then coming out, it'll be more of a garden. But why tell you about that from the water tank when I can go up there and show you? So let's go take a look up there, and all will make a lot more sense when we do. Do you want to come for a walk with me? Or do you just want to sit here and lick your belly in the shade? Okay, he's in for a little belly licking session today. So this is the wood my dad's gonna use for the deck, and obviously this terrace is quite disastrous. I'm gonna get all these pots out of the way, do a whole bunch of weeding. The land tour right now is kind of focused more on the vision for this terrace rather than the reality. Obviously this stuff's not gonna stay here. It's a bit chaotic, but you have to have a bit of chaos, as in the state of this lime tree actually. There's definitely a lot of chaos happening in here. I haven't weeded this thing in ages. So you have to have the chaos before you can have a finished product. A lot of building materials and lots of weeds are happening down here. So as I just mentioned, this is a lime tree. I'd really love to get it out of the pot, but I'd love to have some kind of a garden that's sort of different levels with stone dividing walls. And I'd really like to have the lemon down in this bottom area, partly because it's not going to grow super tall and get in the way of the olive tree, but also because limes are very good in cocktails, and this will be the cocktail location. So having the lime tree close to hand will be very nice. And this is an oleander tree, and it's quite poisonous for cats and people, but my cats have never really gone near it. I think they're beautiful. They're quite drought resistant, but I don't really know exactly what to do with it because I kind of want to focus more on fruit trees and edibles rather than sort of ornamentals. So this might end up going over to Sinead's place because I don't really have the space for it, but it's looking happy and healthy, and I'll make a decision on that later on. Eventually, I don't want this tank to be here. I'd really love to have, this is a 1,000 liter tank. I'd love to have a 2,000 liter tank on a water tower next to my house, and I'd love to just get rid of this one. But for the moment, it's just feeding the garden, and it's where I water everything from, so it's fine where it is for the moment. And here we have my banana tree, which is making a few babies. So the bananas have been really good for me. I've had quite a few. I tend to keep them in the pots, and I've had a lot of luck dividing out the banana suckers and selling them. So it's been a little side hustle. This olive tree is definitely out of control. It needed to be pruned before, and it definitely needs a lot of these little sucker things removed. But it does seem like it's making some olive flowers, especially up high. So that's actually quite impressive. This one also is getting a little bit out of control, but you can see there's lots of flowers on the way. So even though it's got lots of dead branches and it's been neglected, it hasn't given up on me yet, and it just looks like it's packed up there actually. So my friends that I pick with, we tend to do the pruning at the same time as the picking, so we'll just chop off the really high ones and pick the olives from the ground, and that's worked for us so far pretty well. This area is just perpetually weedy, and that's because I've had building supplies here. There's a cliff, and so I sort of just ignore this area. I don't really have anywhere else to put building supplies at the moment, so it just ends up having my piles of sand. That's the coarse sand, and then under there is some fine sand that I've had for a really, really long time. And then I've got the polytunnel, and this thing has been really, really amazing for me. I'm surprised it survived. I think it cost about 150 euros online, and it's been through some serious windstorms and it hasn't budged. I've got some holes in this screen stuff, but that's only because I'm pretty sure the cats get in fights and they've gotten scared and just gone straight through there as they tried to escape. And this is also a weedy nightmare. At the moment, I just have my gray water from my kitchen sink going into kind of a weird hole there, but it sinks into the ground eventually. I haven't noticed any creatures or smells, so it's been fine. And then I've got this cactus, and I really love this cactus, and I'd like to move it somewhere else, but it's kind of gotten too big. It's super spiky, and carrying that thing is quite dangerous, so it's going to live there for the moment. My vision for this terrace is to have just a really beautiful garden. Some edibles, but lots of flowers, lots of herbs, and maybe lots of medicinal things. So I kind of envision sort of a gate or a little wall that comes in here, and then maybe there's an entrance gate around here, then it comes this way and sort of then comes back out again. I want my parking to be down on the third terrace, as I mentioned, but I'd still like to have a sort of pull-in area here in case I have deliveries. So in theory, the sand delivery guy, he can reverse in here, believe it or not, in his big truck, come down here, open the side thing, and make a delivery right here. And that means that it has a place to go, and my car can still pass whenever I eventually park down there. And then you'll come in, have a little gate, some kind of cool gate. Everything will be fenced off, the cliff will be fenced off, and it'll just be some kind of a beautiful garden full of lots of stuff. I'd love to eventually also have some kind of a shaded area here. I definitely want to put a table and chairs on this lookout point because I just think it's the most magical view. But for the moment, I just have the hammock, which is amazing. It's really great to have a hammock. This is an amazing hammock spot, but I kind of have visions of coming out here, eating breakfast, and taking in the beautiful view of the valley. And so the only tree I have up on this terrace that I planted myself is a pomegranate just behind me. Last year it gave me a couple of shriveled, tiny looking pomegranates that cracked open before I could do anything with them. And this year it looks like it's got a few flowers on there that are turning into the fruit, so that's really cool. I'm really excited for that tree. And I plan to plant a couple more trees out here as well. I just haven't decided yet exactly what. It'll all be incorporated into this future magical top terrace garden that I'm planning. And then in here, currently, is the chaotic polytunnel of doom. Eventually, this will be cleaned out. And eventually, in the future, I'll move this down probably to the third terrace as I build out this garden space. So definitely needs a lot of work in there. I'm gonna blitz this one day with my mom when she comes, and hopefully we can turn this into something less terrifying. And eventually, this little top step up here, I don't know if it'll extend out a bit or what's gonna happen, but I do want this as my tool shed utility area sort of workshop bit, but I'd also really like to have some seating and stuff up here. I don't exactly know yet what I want, but I can extend that little top patio out. It'll all be paved with stones, the same as the barbecue pool terrace as well. I just haven't figured out exactly what I want it to have on it yet. Common question I get is, what's up with the front of my house? What's up with this super ugly tarp? I will address this tarp very soon in a video all about my window, or my window hole anyway. This is gonna come down at the same time as I do that video, and I'm really lucky I didn't take it down already because of all the rain we had today. It's basically there to keep the rain out, and there's kind of a funny story about why it needs to be there in the first place, but that's gonna come soon. What I wanna talk about now is my plans for the front. All of this is gonna be incorporated into the garden. The things that will be grown in this bed that's beyond the weeds will be things that climb, like grapevines, and lose their leaves in the winter. So I'm gonna have a pergola that comes out. The grapes will climb up. Perhaps I'll also get kiwis. Maybe I'll get a couple more grapevines. I haven't decided yet. And those things will climb up, giving shade in the summer, and then they'll drop their leaves in the winter and allow some sunlight into my future window. This will be a little staircase up. This will probably be another little garden bed, or I might plant some kind of a fruit tree here. I haven't decided. And then this is gonna remain a ramp, because if this is gonna be my workshop area, I want to be able to bring stuff up and down in the wheelbarrow. So let's see, this terrace is going to be dominated by the future tool shed that I keep starting and stopping work on. There's no particular reason that I keep starting and stopping this thing. I suppose the rain stopped me for a while. I think it's mostly just to do with energy levels and knowing that working with stone is really difficult, very rewarding, but obviously really heavy and really difficult. So I kind of feel like I'm procrastinating and finding other things to do, but I just do have a lot of things to do that aren't the tool shed. So this is stalled yet again. I think I'm gonna wait for my friend Sinead to get here in the middle of May, and together we will work with the stone. We both really like working with stone, and I enjoy working with Sinead, and I feel like it's gonna be a challenging project to make the tool shed foundation, not only physically, but also just coming up with ideas on the fly is going to be tricky too. So we work really well together, and I feel like it's just going to be a lot more fun to share this difficult project with a friend, and together I'm confident we can push it forward. And then we have the fig tree, and this fig tree has started giving us figs, and they're looking pretty big already. It gives figs fairly early in the season, and they're pretty delicious. So I feel like I finally dealt with all the lemons. The lemon overwhelm is under control, and I'm about to enter into fig overwhelm. So any fig recipes, any ideas for what to do with figs, please let me know in the comments. I've done a fig jam before. It was pretty successful. And I've never dried figs before, but I'll probably end up doing a bit of that. And yeah, I'm definitely open to ideas. So this terrace is dominated by this fig tree. It's beautiful. It's totally in the way, but I'm definitely not going to get rid of it. When I first moved in here, I was thinking I would get rid of this thing, but I'm really happy I didn't because it's beautiful. It offers some shade, it has a lot of character, and it's going to give me loads of beautiful figs to eat. So I have no idea what I was thinking. Sorry, fig tree. I'm sorry I contemplated your destruction. So this top terrace right beside the house has been in various states of disrepair and chaos over the years. This IBC tank has moved around more times than I care to admit as I try to figure out what the heck I'm trying to do. This is the cat ramp, which is probably, it'll still hold a cat. Doesn't look so good, but gets them in the window. So I'll open the window into the shower, but I still need to build them a little ladder to get up there. So that's a work in progress, but more for the inside of the house. And outside here, I have my wood store, so all this stuff, since I don't think we'll be using the fire anymore, all this stuff can go away and just be cleared out. When Sinead comes, we're gonna build a little lean-to structure for a temporary outdoor toilet, because right now my toilet box is in the house, and that's not really ideal when there's more than me using it. So we'll build something here temporarily, and then in the future, beside the tool shed, as a lean-to on this side, it'll be my permanent toilet. So this is a pipe for a future pea separator, and this is a pipe for a future hand washing sink, and then in there will be the toilet box, which will be very nice to get that out of my house. And over here we have a pile of rocks, and this is going to be kind of a stem wall that'll come up above the ground and then go down there, hooking into the back of the tool shed. And then it's going to have a wall that's going to be made of cob and probably lime with tiles on the top, just to give me some privacy, just to feel nice and cozy and enclosed in here. And then over here, I have no idea what to do with this. I have a little bit of space behind the house. Maybe I can find a way to store firewood back there. Maybe I just leave it as it is, clear it out a bit, as a place to store long things. This is my current water storage. As I mentioned, I'd love to have a 200-liter tank eventually, or at least stack two of these, one on top of the other. And I'd like to do that over here on a water tower. And then under the water tower is probably actually where I'll put my firewood storage. And between the outdoor toilet, sink area, and the water tower will be kind of just a covered area where maybe I store some bicycles, stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure yet. And then here I don't know. There's going to be some sort of a structure here to store my future gas water heater thing. It needs a little house, there'll be a gas bottle, and then the on-demand water heater, and that'll take the water from the tower, fire it through a pump so it can get enough pressure to go through the water heater, activate that, and then it'll send it into the house. So I have hot water on demand, which will be amazing. And then over here, I don't know, I see this being some kind of an outdoor kitchen perhaps, or at the very least a place where I can wash vegetables from the garden, get the dirt off of them, and stuff like that. So this will have a sink and other outdoor kitchen type things. I don't know if I want sort of a barbecue and stuff up here or if I want it down on that lower terrace, but I do like the idea of having some kind of a sitting area. Maybe I do have a little fire pit or something up here. I really don't know yet. So I'm definitely open to ideas. The space will be dominated by the tool shed, but I designed it so that there will be some space in front to figure out something, some cool hangout spot with the beautiful view. And the car won't be there. It'll just be a nice lush garden, and I think it'll be a nice spot to hang out. And so those are some of my hopes and dreams and ideas for this top terrace and for the terrace below under the lemon tree beside the pool. I feel like there's just so much I can do. It's not exactly a blank canvas. There are some design restrictions given that I have to fit things into a certain space. I actually really like that my land is small. There's trees to work around. There's terrace walls. I feel like if I would have bought a giant piece of land with nothing in place yet but loads of design opportunities, I wouldn't have even known where to start. So though I'm restricted with what I can do because of space, I actually feel like that forces me to be more creative, and I really like that. So I feel like I've got some good ideas, and the top terrace, especially this one, designing the garden, that's a long way away, but I'm definitely going to put a focus on the tool shed and the hangout space down by the lemon tree. I anticipate spending a lot of time by that swimming pool this year, and if I can get that space hangoutable and cleaned up and cozy and lovely and wonderful, that would be great, because right now I don't really feel like I can invite too many people over. I just feel like there's hazards everywhere, mess everywhere, and so if I can focus on just cleaning that one terrace down there, it gives me a place where people can hang out, and I can actually have get-togethers, which I really enjoy doing. So I have loads of things planned. I'm very excited to have the help of my parents very soon, and I think that we're gonna turn that terrace by the lemon tree into something really beautiful before they leave. And we're gonna sip many a cocktail down there, and it's gonna be a really nice space, I hope. Up here, I think it's also gonna be a great space, but the timeline for this one is far into the future, so we'll see how that goes. But I think it's good to have plans. It's good to have these long-term things. Off in the distance, ideas that change, morph, evolve, and then things that are gonna happen hopefully a little sooner. Although, when I say stuff is gonna happen soon, it rarely does, but I'll get it done eventually. So that's the land tour, part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like just walking through and showing you stuff and talking about it has given me some inspiration to get working on certain things that have been neglected, and I'm excited to get started, and I'm excited to share it with you as well. So that's my land. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, share it around, and I'll see you in the next video.